All right, we're back at it today. What we learned and kind of so picking up from yesterday night, I think there was a 6 hour eating window. So during FMD we've done 4.5 hour eating windows usually, and in refeeding we're doing around 6 hour eating window per day, which is fantastic. Pericarditis, like pain. So this all started way back. I think I was taking like vitamin D and K2 supplements, and the K2 was MK4, but it was a really high dose. Some people, like, I think it was 2 milligrams, I think, per day or something. And there's people who take 45 milligrams, but depending on your susceptibility, that's kind of when this all started. And it came, and then it went away when I stopped all supplements and I went fermented foods, which is fantastic. And then it comes back anytime I have a lot of gas, bloating, pain in the gut. It comes back. So it feels like almost like if I have inflammation, it attacks my joints, fingers, whatever. Definitely gut, and it also seems to like to attack my heart or the pericarditis. I mean, on YouTube, there's a really good dude out of Yorkshire who does a bunch of videos and on, like, I think he's cardiovascular medicine. He does pericarditis. It is exact match for that, and that's kind of, so there's some inflammation going on there. That happened when I tried this processed nori. So the moment it said switch to non-processed nori, and guess what? It is working. I have like today, it's like night and day. Like, and I don't have the gut. Like, pretty much all inflammation is down pretty significantly. And I'm up to like, let's see if this works. Up to 4 sheets a day. Yeah, that's cool. Let's see if, nice. Okay, cool. Sometimes mics from apps hog, like steal the mic from another app, but not here, so that's fantastic, guys. What is this? Yep, so started spirulina and Dulce today as well, and that's been fantastic. Spirulina, we're trying to keep it intentionally low, just in case there's any, and we'll get into it, but like Aztecs, they used it around 10 grams to even up to 30 grams. In Chad, there's African tribes that used it 20 to 50 grams to make like these cakes and eat them, and that was their main protein source. So there's probably no toxicity effect, but again, just keeping it down to a gram or so, and you definitely do get the benefits. Even smelling it was just, oh, it was amazing. Everything felt so almost like, I don't know how to explain it, but like not inflamed, like light, kind of like energetic. So it was great. Yep, that's that. Especially, yeah. So always at night, apparently my veins get super like vascular, and I looked at why. Apparently, if you have low subcutaneous fat, which after an FMD fast you would, lack of water, which I get water even at night, so that's probably not it. But there's a rise of temperature can lead to that. It happens at night. I'm inflamed. I actually feel hot, which is cool thanks to the iodine, and not cold. So that probably contributed to that. So I think that was just the answer. Eureka, right? Like all those things combined, probably lead to more vascular veins now, which is good. I mean, I don't mind it. Yeah, so bladder wreck, you're not even at less than 2 grams per day. If you're trying to match the iodine you would get from kelp for an 1/8 of a teaspoon of kelp a day. That's just taking a bunch of averages, but we're still finishing those spices. Taurine, the short, if you're super deficient, you should notice immediately, like within, like, I noticed it immediately when I first Nori, I was like, oh my god, some pains are going away. within a few days, like realistically, like 1 to 2 days, you should notice a significant improvement. Within 2 weeks, you should notice the initial significant buildup effect. And then within 3 months, you should really notice the peak of the buildup effects. By 3 months, you should have repleted, and that's again on 10 grams of Nori, which I think gives you around 100, 140 units of taurine. Which is pretty cool. Taurine, by the way, is not, I know, like in supplemental form, it like peaks in 1 hour and then it goes away in like 8. It's very quick, so it's, I'm imagining it's better steady state to kind of fix everything, and the body produces its own, but in vegans it's a little lower, so just, unless you're eating Nori, and it's super high. So steady state is probably best. So that's what we're doing, which is great. This is a cool mega question we asked. Can humidity, like from a fridge, pretty much the answer is for paper, yes, definitely in a few days. From humidity goes into the food. For plastics, I can tell you the answer is very little over weeks, if not months. And then for, they call them, I think it's myelin. There's foil coated and there's glass. Those three, nothing's getting inside, no air. So, no humidity. And those are to store very long times. That's what we talked about. Big unlocks. There are some, but most of them are like if you hit a rate limit that day, that's when it's, and every day, that's when you should most likely upgrade. Otherwise, the models aren't that crazy. On some of them, I think, you get like, because like on here you still get pro, here you still get pro, you get, I think with Grok you still get the 4 agents. Manus, you get like 2 questions and you're out on the free. Illicit, you're just out, unless you buy more, some paid. On the deep research. DeepSeek is free for everything. Boreum and Apertus, which I'll get to, crashed just when I asked it 2 questions as a test, and they both crashed every time, so I don't use them. DeepSeek I do. DeepSeek is definitely the least, I think, and again, great work on DeepSeek. It still gives me new data, which is great, but I'd say in order, not a super hard order, but those, and then for research, definitely, they're all different, really. They're all different, but they're all pretty good up to there. Any details? It's China's DeepSeek, so it is actually trained on more Chinese data, especially with law and like medicine and anything specifically Chinese. DeepSeek has more data on language nuances, things like that. Okay. This was due to the processed nori, and I read how they process. They probably have some soy and sesame, probably soy contamination on their lines, because pretty much how they do it, they take nori, they dry it sometimes in the sun, but they typically just dry it on these squishers, like they squish, and then they then, I'm going super fast, but they heat it with some sort of kind of like a oven, like covering it, like pretty much imagine 2 hot, really hot, like heat sources, and then it kind of passes through, and that's usually it for roasted nori. But then they can spray it with oils and then like add salt, and usually if that's done, then they roast it again to make the oil penetrate through. That is where it gets a little weird, where you're getting the avocado oil. Is it refined avocado oil? Probably is. It's cheaper, and then are those shared with soy products? I know for Gimme they have soy products, so it probably is. So if you're sensitive to soy, that could make sense. Also, it's just more processing steps, more reheating, all that does things at a micro level that unhealthy for us. like the aged glycolated end products, glycated end products. Yeah, bottom line. You do not check out if you have autoimmune or sensitive gut issues, but this choice is working wonders. We usually take the desiccants from like anything and then just put them in the pantry to reuse them later. We lost them somehow. They're no longer in there, so we will start building up the pile again. What is this? Oh yeah, so we are water-falling ferments. And that means pretty much if you have like a glass and you tip it so it pretty much goes into your mouth, and you put the bottom lip on the glass and go up on it so all the liquid doesn't touch your mouth and go back in. It pretty much touches your mouth and goes in your mouth, which is the whole point, and it doesn't drip out. So that's the technique. And then and then when you're eating anything dry like powder, two things, and I'll add. So once in mouth, angle head downwards so that there's a crease with your neck, so that you will not open the airway and prevent choking. You will. So when you get it onto pretty much you put it in your mouth, you close, then you use your tongue to get it all off the spoon, and then you can take the spoon out, and then you pretty much do this, and you can chew, or I guess kind of swish it around until you taste it thoroughly. It's great, it feels amazing, and then you swallow. That's probably the easiest way to, one, not have anything left on the spoon, or powder going everywhere, and then two is not choke. Okay. We talked about this. And I think when you're eating, as of now, I'm like really tasting the food, and it tastes so good that you want to keep going, but there's a feeling where you want to put it down, but then I try to keep tasting it. It's great to do that, but that's what I'm doing. And when you're kind of inflamed, it seems like it's harder to do that, like harder to get there, harder to settle the gut, because usually that kind of calms everything down, and it feels great, but it's harder to do that when you're inflamed. You can, and get it like under control, but it's almost like a dog, and it's like a larger and larger dog the more you're inflamed, and you're like with a leash and you're trying to restrain it. But it takes time between that takes time, the pressing. So it's not like immediate, you can go 0 to 60. You need to, it might take like, usually it doesn't take that long, but maybe 15-30 seconds. So that's why it's good to eat everything in one go and then do everything afterwards. It's kind of like super specialized mindful eating, and then you can do all your other stuff after. If you're like trying to balance both of them, it's really tough. Probably unproductive if you add up the times separate versus together. So if you are on edge and you are like in a group and you do alt enter, it will move it outside the group. So can I do this? Yeah, I can. So this is Control Shift K. It says doesn't. This is alt enter does. So just a quirk, but it is helpful in case you're trying to duplicate several tabs very quickly. It's good to know to use depending on what you want to do. Go for raw. So we're gonna buy the raw ones, which I think we showed the other day after we finished these choy roasted. Right, cardiovascular exercise lets you press more, which probably has something to do with the vagus nerve for taste, and it amplifies taste and smell, so that's great. Deep breathing does not. It actually takes the mind away from that, so I'm not sure about that. And if you flex, it does, like in Demon Slayer, they had a part where they're training and it's like remain loose. You are more fluid, but you don't have enough protection on your sinews, and I didn't know what that meant, but yes, if you flex, you will protect those tendons and ligaments, and it will offboard to muscle, but most of all, you don't do really weird, stupid movements, especially if you have any hypermobility disorder. Being very loose is how you get overextended, which leads to injury, usually, so that's that. This is around 30% for most. Yes, autophagy pretty much, and resets vagus. So yeah, good laughs, like at least 2 minutes. Some say 20 to 30 minutes of those good laughs, but that gets you pretty much in like the FMD autophagy thresholds on a lot of things, like CRP lowers. I think we have up here what it does. Yeah, all of these. Growth hormone goes up, immune system goes up, cortisol goes down. You can't feel as much pain because of the beta endorphins. And yeah, your vagus nerve. So it's pretty much autophagy very quickly, which is great. We did not do this. So for spirulina, even for if you have PKU with which is, I think it's phenylketoronic acids, like you can't process phenylalanine, and spirulina has a lot of that. It's just protein, but it's high percentage in spirulina. But you would probably face significant cognitive deficits going into adulthood if it was untreated, because there's a lot of foods like lentils have it, soy has it, so it's not just that. And then it's mainly this BMAA, which is pretty much negligible in most, like the Nutrex Hawaii, it's like 0.5 micrograms, which you would have to ingest like literally a ton of spirulina, quite literally. And you can't, it's impossible per day. So microcysteines are for liver, but again, very low in those. There's that one case study where a dude developed rhabdomyolysis, yeah, and he took 3 grams from Solgar, which is pretty reputable. Not as reputable as Nutrex for spirulina, but still good, right? And he developed rhabdo, which was cleared in a week, as rhabdo does, but he did. So they don't really know the cause. I'm sure it was something everyone wants to say it's something genetic. Don't quite know, so that's why we're keeping it low, just in case. And you can still get a lot of benefits from a low dose. So, and that way there's no buildup or anything crazy. We did that. I want. This is what we talked about. We started feeling slight pains, but I don't know if that has to do with spirulina or not. It just happened after, and we are flexing a lot and moving faster with the spirulina. We'll see how that goes. And again, we're at like a gram, maybe 2 grams tops. Once finished with Dulce. Yep, so we started Dulce. It tastes amazing. It tastes like a sweet, I don't know, it tastes great. And we talked about that. On Edge, use copy groups, because if you copy and duplicate, it's a hassle. Quest Diagnostics. So I don't know how much what data is. Oh, and we lost the picture, but on Quest or on a lot of blood work, there's numbers next to the test, like the biomarker. Those are ID numbers. They are not your value. Your value is later on a site. So that could be really scary if you don't know that. So just as a heads up, Nori takes pain away. Yeah, Nori does magic for pain. Like moments after eating it. And definitely after eating it. Oh yeah, when you smell something, because it amplifies, like that's why wine tasters smell, because it amplifies the whole like eating experience, dining experience, whatever you want. It's important to tilt it 45 degrees because if not, your hair and stuff fall in. And if you breathe, you're breathing down. You can still catch the particles, but you don't breathe down into it. So if you tilt it, don't do this. It's pretty much, and you'll be great. And you'll preserve whatever you have in there without like super humidifying it with your breath out your nose. Sometimes, yeah, so compression. So again, like compressing inwards, downwards. Sometimes that's what you need. And to focus on that is good to relieve the pain. We talked about this. FMD does make you younger by recycling cells, and some are crazy, like the gut is 30 to 70% rejuvenation in a few days. So it recycles the old, and then there's a ton, like 30 to 70%. That's a lot in 3 to 7 days. Despite all the warnings. Yeah, iodine is just helping, honestly, at this point. So, as long as it's somewhat controlled. For this, it seems like, and then Chondrus, most reports say it's 4 grams is the upper limit that you want because of carrageenan and also the iodine. For iodine, it seems like it's much higher, but like you need like easily 10, 20 grams. But depending on the Seamoss, and mainly because of the carrageenan, you want to limit it to 4 grams. Okay, so that's that. Let's go. This is the raw Nori. Is it going to show what it looks like? Okay, this is what we're going to do. So this is Nori. We just converted like how many sheets for 10 grams. This is what the gimme is. 1 pack is 5 grams, around 10 grams. If you eat 2 packs, it's going to be 10 grams, and that is 4 sheets out of this guy, which is the choice that I'm eating. Honestly, I take the Nori, I just leave it out, like right next to me, and I eat it throughout the day. It stays pretty hard. Here it says it'll degrade, but it still turns leathery. This is a loose lid. I can tell you, it doesn't have a loose lid. It still is good. Like a 6-hour eating window. So let's see what we have. Nope, we are trying. Function, I know Huberman talked about this. It's like a blood work. It has literally 160 biomarkers, they say. I looked at them, they're pretty comprehensive. So probably next blood work, that would be it. Laughing helped, so I picked the one, who was amazing. For 4 minutes, it was great. And keep in mind, the actual authentic laughter works much, much better apparently than, not fake, but like kind of forced laughter. And usually authentic laughter happens with other people there. I think there's like a crazy increased likelihood. Might be 10 times, don't quote me, but like it's really significant when other people are there. This Apertus didn't work. Borium, again, didn't work for me. Hopefully it works for others, but not for me. DeepSeek, so DeepSeek, and we'll get into that because I think we have it here. We can do it now. Apparently this is R1, so you click on here, it's R1, which is what we want. Okay, I'm gonna blaze through this because we already did most of this. That was the more processing on gimme is more processed. This is how they make it. This is the effects that we talked about for taurine. Again, why vascular vein could happen. Bladder rack. Oh, bladder rack is different. This is a lot less. So you want to keep it to 2 grams for sure if you're going to equal what we're talking about for iodine. We talked about that. For humidity, free to pro, we talked about that. Deep seek, boreum. I'm just going to page down to see if there's anything. This for spirulina, but these are, again, pretty rare. Especially if it's well tested. Almost everybody's like, if it's well tested, is it well tested? That is the number one thing for Nutrix Hawaii is for preventing those. PKU, what is that? Phenylketonuria, okay. This was the actual guy. He was clean, like squeak clean. And you got this, so there's something, yeah, that's why we're limiting it, just in case. They had a similar, yeah, similar, we'll see. These usually measure liver damage. Apparently all of these have long-term human consumption. Even spirulina, chlorella was in Japan since the 1950s or 60s. Not super long term, but still. And these guys, I do want to copy these guys, but this is all. I wonder what toxins you could get in the sea. Like, are they bad? And they're pretty bad, especially from jellyfish, shellfish, some cyanotoxin, bacteria. They can just paralyze you and you stop breathing. So that's not good. But again, that's usually removed from the commercial forms if it's well tested. But again, that's why we're limiting it, just in case. Yeah, so low ALT, I think mine was 9. And CK was 52, which are both on the low range of whatever those ranges, normal ranges are. Might mean B6, which at the time I wasn't getting a lot of B6, I think, so that makes sense. Rhabdo clears up pretty quick. Half-life is 1.5 days for CK, so it will go away in, what is that, times 5, 7.5 days. This is what we talked about. PKU, strong laughter. There are answers on the other GBTs, but this one doesn't have any. But there are markers in the actual paper, I know, and the guy on YouTube talked about it who did that. So, again, I'm just paging because here's the phenylalanine is in there, and I've been eating a ton of beans, so I think it mainly the carb thing that happened as an inflammatory trigger from a lot of beans, not the phenylalanine. We can probably take that because we can see if it's in nuts and seeds. So I eat a lot of flaxseed and hemp seed. Oh, I know it's on a lot of hemp seed. Hemp seed, it's like 1.7 grams. So I want to see if it's in flaxseed. There's some allergic reactions, but again, that's rare. And it's interesting because there's something about like the gut being irritated, the liver trying to get rid of it. it leads to bleeding. It leads to more, so hypercalcemia and some seizures. So it has some neurologic effects. Maybe all having to do with immune modulation. We don't know. But yeah, we do. I mean, that's at least what spirulina, when it has adverse effects, how it works. And I think that's pretty much, this is kind of, I guess we didn't do size space. Size space came on a lot of lists. That's a good one, so maybe we might try size space. Boring was just one YouTube video. This is what you get, kind of as an upgrade. Nori. Yep, so that's that. Let's see. Okay. So you do get some of these if you do have PKU and you're an adult, and I don't think I have almost any of these, maybe a bit here, but again, not too much. And then that could be cross-correlated with a lot of things, and I definitely don't have seizures. I did have at one point, like, my limbs would just flit, like shoot out like crazy, like I just flop my hand and stuff. But that's why we're keeping the dose low, but again, not usually. It's all of these if you have PKU. We're gonna copy some of these. These are the toxins. I want to see what color they are, but hopefully they're not green. If you can see the toxin or a buildup of the toxin, let's see. Holy Christ, we're going for it. I'm honestly getting tired. I'm not super tired, but we gotta keep going. We gotta finish this. Let's see. Is there anything crazy new here? And yes, I did see a few new things, but I'm skipping over them intentionally because I think new, like super values. Just trying to keep this summarized somewhat. Okay. That is it. I hope that helped you learning and hopefully discovering something fun and hopeful. Hopefully. All right. See you. Bye. Bye.